So Noah Kagan is on the streets of New York, and he comes across this guy and he's like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" He's like, "Oh, I sold ships." And he's like, "Oh, wow." Like, is that lucrative? He's like, "Well, like I am a billionaire," or something to that effect, in that range. And we're like, "Tell me more about the ship selling business." And so he sits down with them and he kind of starts exploring, okay, like why ships? Like how did you become like so wealthy being involved in ships? And he goes on to explain how I think that at one point they had like over like 100 ships, and at the end he sold it all, like just has all this money. And he's like why ships? And so he's like, well, I was just like really enamored by it. I was just really enthralled by ships in the water. Like it was just super interesting to me. He was always curious about it and loved it, and loved being in the water and all the things related to it. And so it was just a really interesting interview to me, because he's talking about this phrase of like follow your passion. For the most part, it's just, I say BS, and I just say it's just like garbage. Following your passion is really the wrong indicator. I think we're like, follow your passion, and it's just so like ethereal, and it's so like purely emotional. And it's one of the indicators, but I wouldn't say it's like the indicator that matters. It's like a misleading indicator. So the thing that I think is the most important part in that is actually following like what you're curious about, and following like what you're interested in. And the passionate part is important because it's a driver. It's like, I'm excited about this, I think it's incredible, but like passion like comes and goes. Like it's a nice indicator, but I feel like it's misleading. The one that really matters is the like curiosity indicator. Like I'm passionate about this, but like that's because like I really love learning about it. Like I can't get enough of this. And if you can find that thing that you're insatiably curious about, the thing that learning deeply about this subject, you have an insatiable hunger for it, that's the sauce. That's the stuff. Because I think that if you never stop learning about a thing, and you're always driven to learn more and more and more and more about it, it's gonna be hard to stop you. Virtually unstoppable, because you cannot stop learning about this thing. Whether that's like finances or ships or whatever it was, like for this guy, super like drilled down, very specific niche, but like he was so curious about it. He loved it. He was enamored by ships on the water, and became this thing that eventually he was involved in the business aspects of it. I don't think it started there. It didn't start like owning like export ships coming back and forth to the United States. It started by just being like insatiably curious. And I think that more than passion, like when you're passionate about something, it's actually like a very like on the surface sort of thing in regards to what you're loving to learn about. And the passion is like an indicator that pops up every once in a while. And I think the mistake people make is like, well, I'm not feeling passionate about this. I'm not feeling like passionate about like waking up early to do this thing. I'm not feeling passionate. It's like, no, just shut it. Like, just realize that the important part is not this like feeling of excitement. The important part is insatiable curiosity. Because as you're insatiably curious and love learning about this subject and this thing, and you just won't stop, it's the unrelenting part that matters. It's the like not stopping part that matters. And passion is nice and it's cool, but it can be a real misleading indicator of like doing something that could be your life's work. So find the thing you're curious about and love learning about. And I think that's what makes you unstoppable.